A Ukrainian pilot accused of being complicit in the deaths of Russian journalists says she denies the charges. In her latest plea to the court, Nadezhda Savchenko also stated that she will continue her hunger strike if found guilty. Nadezhda Savchenko fought for the Ukrainian army in the east of the country. She is on trial over the deaths of 2 Russian journalists killed in shelling in the city of Lugansk in June 2014.
Там блокпосты Национальной гвардии. Всего было произведено около десятка выстрелов.
Now she faces 23 years in prison for complicity in murder if found guilty. Prosecutors claim Savchenko reported the location of 2 Russian journalists to the Ukrainian military, which then shelled the area. Now, Nadezhda Savchenko has been on 2 hunger strikes in protest over the length of the process. Her case drew international attention, with pro-Ukrainian activists labeling her a hero and a martyr and calling for her release. On Tuesday, the U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry issued a statement calling for Savchenko to be freed, although that provoked a surprise from the Russian Foreign Ministry.
I'm deeply concerned about the health and welfare of Ukrainian pilot and Rada deputy Nadia Savchenko. Her unlawful continuing detention is a clear violation of Russia's commitment under the Minsk Agreement, and she should be freed at once.
I can't believe Kerry didn't know that the Minsk agreements contain no mention of Savchenko, and that her case is not linked to any points in the agreements.
All right, moving on to some other stories for you now. The Turkish government has seized control of a major news agency in an ongoing crackdown on pro-opposition media. Gihan is Turkey's largest private news agency, with offices across the country and abroad. An Istanbul court is due to appoint an administrator to run the agency. Ibrahim Varlik, a reporter for Gihan, gave us his thoughts.
Gihan is the only independent and private organization which monitors the Turkish elections since 2005. By doing this, Gihan was protecting the people's votes and the democracy. But from now on, only state agency can monitor the elections. People will see only the results of the state agency. If there will be any fraud in anywhere in Turkey, most probably they will never hear about it.
This all comes just days after Ankara took control of the country's largest newspaper, Zaman. Police also raided the publication's offices. Both outlets, Gihan and Zaman, are known for criticizing President Erdogan and his party. They are closely associated to an opposition media tycoon, who Ankara accuses of having ties to terrorists. Zaman's seizure on Friday sparked protests that were dispersed by riot police. Ibrahim Varlik, who we just heard from a moment ago, says these 2 outlets are not the only ones being targeted.
Gihan or Zaman is not the only media or not the first media organization suppressed by state. More than 30 journalists are in jail now in Turkey. And in recent 2 years, many media organizations who are critical about the government has been shut down by state or silenced in different ways. This is not a single or unique movement against the press freedom in Turkey. This is another blow, and maybe the biggest blow to press.
Well, the Turkish Prime Minister has consistently denied any violations of press freedom in his country, claiming that no one has ever been detained for reporting.
As a politician, I have to be hopeful for the future of freedom of press in Turkey, but currently the picture is very dark, and I'm pessimistic about the situation. The government designs the laws directly to prevent any social reaction. It gives so much power to the police, to the intelligence agencies, and this makes it very hard for Turkish society to fight for their rights. And of course, the rights of the media can't be separated from this situation. In terms of freedom of press, Turkey is even behind Tanzania and Uganda.
All right, more news in half an hour.